Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of the Doctor Who comic Missy. Yeah, I feel like the last issue Doctor Who magazine, Doctor Who Titan comic, Doctor Who Titan comic that I might have reviewed is the Time Lord Victorious ones, I think. Could be wrong about that. Genuinely can't remember. But this is to celebrate 50 years of the Master, because it's 50 years since 1971, his first debut being Terror of the Autons. And I'll be honest, I really like this cover. I like the fact that they've kind of graffitied Missy over Doctor Who, which is kind of cool. You've got Michelle Gomez front and centre of the cover with all these different pieces of chess pieces of the Master in this sort of reddish sort of colour, and then the TARDIS blue, or like a lighter blue for the Doctor and that, so I quite like that. And then you've got the purple motif sort of thing. I'm not sure why that's there, Doctor Who comic. I mean, well, actually, I guess it's because that it normally is there, but obviously with Missy over it, they had to put it there, I guess. The bright sort of yellow is nice, I guess, as well, to contrast with the sort of more burgundy red, purple, light blue sort of colours. More purple, you've got a bio on Missy, her incarnation of the Master, as well as the Master, Roger Delgado's Master, the Third Doctor, the 12th Doctor, and the TARDIS. You've also got information on, the Titan Comics website, Twitter and Facebook to send them any feedback. A little bit of a previously thing, which just kind of goes over a brief overview of who the Doctor is and who the Master is, or their rapport with each other, more than anything. Here you've got the writer, artist, colourist, letterist sort of thing. And again, a nice sort of purple sort of time vortex, sort of going for a sort of Peter Capaldi 12th Doctor sort of one. But I love the sort of purpley effect, because it kind of makes it feel like a Missy's version of that, you know. Spoiler alert, I guess, for one of the really early panels, but you do get your John Pertwee's there. And then you've got Missy in this outstandingly funny, ridiculous costume, which I kind of really like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like her normal costume. And I'll be honest, bit of an inside, sort of scoop here. On a personal level, prior to Series 10, I would have said that I never really liked Missy and or her interpretation of the character, but I like her quite a bit more now because of Series 10. I don't think it was ever anything to do with the actress. I think Michelle Gomez is a good actress. I liked her in, Bad Education, and that, as a principal in that, she was pretty funny in there. So she can do comedy, but I think it was just more that's all I felt like she was giving it, or like written like, and it was quite grating in that. But I felt like with Series 10, they really developed her as a character, and she did and was able to highlight other aspects of her character. And yeah, she's still got the umbrella here. She's got a question mark on the bottom there of the skirt, as well as some ducks on the hat, which I quite like, and this sort of light blue yellow motif and that going on there. And yeah, I mean, you've got really cool panels and shots of like all these baddies and Missy there, and basically you're in Stormcage right at the beginning, a reference to sort of that sort of Series 6 era, and that, I guess, obviously, if you like the Moffat era, this is an issue and or comic for you, because, you've got Moffat's interpretation of the Master. You've got Stormcage reference here, but then also, I guess if you're a classic fan, you might want to pick this one up because, spoiler alert, but you've also got Roger Delgado's Master, as well as obviously a brief cameo from Pertwee, but you've also got the first Master, which, I'll be honest, I really like this idea because I think, much like with Twice Upon a Time, it's such an interesting idea to have the most recent interpretation and or incarnation of the Doctor, or in this case the Master, revisit their original self and really be able to say, reflect on who they were then and their values and morals and that, or lack of morals in the Master's case, and see how far they've developed for the better or for the worse or whatever, and have the past almost critique their future and vice versa, and that, I think that's such a wonderfully playful idea and childlike idea that I think is just ripe for possibilities and imagination and creativity within the Doctor Who universe, I've forgotten what I was gonna say, but it something about like Roger Delgado, I think, maybe. Oh, right, actually, no. What I was going to say is, like, I mentioned about the most current incarnation, but obviously Sacha Dhawan is the current Master, and I wonder if that's because maybe Chibnall didn't give Titan Comics the rights to the Sacha Dhawan Master, maybe. Maybe Titan Comics didn't want to... I think legally they're not able to use the most current incarnation of the Master or the Doctor in Expanded Universe yet. It has to be a few years after they've been obviously in the show and that. So you like, because I was just thinking the Masterful box set, big box set for the Master's 50th on Doctor Who Big Finish Audios has Missy and John Sim and every other Master, but not Sacha Dhawan, but that's because, again, he's the current one, so I guess in Expanded Universe, the current Master is Missy, which is fine, because, I think, again, for me personally as a fan, excluding Series 10, you don't really have a lot of other stuff with her. You have the Series 9 opener and the Series 8 finale, and then that's about it until Series 10, and then you get her sort of mid to back end of that series, and then that's about it. I honestly feel like she was somewhat shortchanged as the Master. I genuinely feel like she should have been in it both more and better written, personally. I think the reason why I'm not talking much about this issue individually is because it's just sort of the setup issue. It's got some decent artwork here and there. I like the interpretation of Missy. She seems quite playful here, but I'm really hoping she is ready to pounce and attack. I think they're really trying to just establish both interpretations of the character, like sort of saying, well, the character used to be, so sort of black and white and sort of set in stone, I am a baddie, I want to kill everyone sort of thing. But Missy is very purplish grey, like this greyish, flamboyant, dark purple, raunchy, flamboyant, she's like a, for lack of a better term, sexy Mrs. Doubtfire, sort of character, and that's the next issue, and that's the cover. Spoiler alert, I guess. But yeah, and then you've got advertisements for a bunch of other 13th Doctor stuff, as well as variant covers for this issue. I quite like that one in particular. And then you've got available at Forbidden Planet the cool T-shirts that I've seen some other Who fans wear, or have online at least. I can't say I've seen any Who fans in real life like lately, but or at all. But yeah, celebrating 50 years of the character. Discover stuff from the 12th Doctor range. and that, and yeah, I don't want to spoil what happened towards the latter end or the end, because that was pretty cool. And that, I think this one's a decent setup. Again, I think there is that, and like that, and like the stuff at the end is really cool, but like it's nothing too major, I guess, yet. But if this is going to be like a little 4 or 5 part miniseries, again, the predominant thing is setting it up and then doing more interesting, big, bombastic stuff. There is mention of something that happens sort of during the Tom Baker years, latter end of Tom Baker years, sort of thing that plays into this one, which was quite interesting. Did not expect that. And then, as I say, there's sort of a reason as to why Missy's here, and we get sort of backstory on that, and why she's there, and why she's in Stormcage, and why the other master, Roger Delgado's master, is even considering teaming up with Missy or Doctor Who or whatever names these characters want to disguise themselves as, even, because they're both tricksters and phantoms of the darkness and whatnot, and that. And I think, again, it's just really fun to play around with these characters. I think honestly, I think a multi-master story could be more fun to write, I guess, than a multi-Doctor story, but a multi-Doctor story would be more sort of joyous and wondrous, you know? It'd be like the equivalent of writing a sort of Christmas sort of story versus like a story based around like Halloween or like a horror, you know? Like, the two very stark differences there, I guess. But yeah, I think if you're a massive fan of the character of the Master or Missy, or want to see more from the character of the Master, or you really liked Sacha Dhawan's interpretation of the Master and don't know anything about any of the other Masters, honestly, I think this would be a brilliant jumping on point, even if you've only watched the Jodie Whittaker era and have no knowledge of previous Masters. I mean, that said, as I just said earlier, she does kind of refer to herself as Doctor Who, which might kind of confuse people if you've never seen Doctor Who before, prior to Whittaker's era. But then again, there is the bio of who she actually is there, so it's like, yeah, 50-50 as to whether or not you would be confused at that point. But anyway, it's a good start, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. Thanks for watching. Please do comment, rate, and subscribe.